This is my first computer build. This computer symbolized an escape from the Mac world for me, and being the first PC I built, and frankly the only one I've built, it has a lot of sentimental value for me. Needless to say, I am a complete amateur at computer building, so it's not going to be the most beautiful thing, and this is pretty low-end computer. You can go cheaper and you can get worse things, but this is pretty much a budget build. I've played with it quite a bit, and I'm pretty happy with the overall performance of it, so let's get into it. My friend's brother had a lot of experience playing with computers, so he basically built me a computer through PC Part Picker and recommended a bunch of parts for me. So I gave him a rough budget. I think the budget was close to 500 bucks, give or take maybe $100 or so. I did immediately upgrade a few things as I see fit that I'll talk about, and I had already purchased Windows as well as the case prior to building all that. We have a place called Micro Center locally, and so I found this case, the Corsair Obsidian 450D. It's considered a mid-tower case. Apparently it has pretty good airflow. Right now I have 6 case fans installed. You can do combinations of 120s or 140s. So I have 2 140s in the front, a 120 in the rear, 2 140s at the top, and finally a 140 on the bottom. Initially, this case did not come with any RGB capabilities, so I added these strips. There's actually 4 of them. So there's the one on the bottom, and it pretty much just runs alongside the inside of the case. They route to that little hub, which plugs into the motherboard and controls the RGB via software. And these 3 fans are controlled by the same software. RGB was just something that I really wanted. I think it really made the computer look a lot better. Prior to that, I had all purple lighting, and even though it was kind of cool and purple's my favorite color, I still couldn't live without the RGB. Prior to that even, I had a setup that used a remote control like this that just wasn't cutting it. The other thing I had to add was this ASUS disc reader and burner. I think I got it mainly just because I had a few CDs and like DVDs that I might want to use, and so I just decided to plug that in. Alright, let's talk about the guts. Powering it all is the EVGA 550 G3 Supernova. It's a modular power supply, and it is a gold power supply. I don't know what else to say about it. Hasn't let me down. The motherboard is an MSI 250M Pro VD. The processor is an Intel 7600K i5 unlocked at 4.2 gigahertz. I'm not really sure how the frequency works. In the BIOS, you can basically turn it up to 4.2 rather than the standard frequency, which is 3.8. Initially, the thermal paste I used was the Cooler Master paste that came with the cooler. However, just to experiment, I tried Arctic MX4 thermal compound, and honestly, I think it dropped my average core temperature by about 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. The hottest the CPU has ever ran is about 60 degrees Celsius. So I don't know if that's super high or super low. Apparently the Kaby Lake processors tend to run a little hotter than previous generations. I don't know if 60 degrees Celsius is good or bad, or if that sounds about right. The GPU is an EVGA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti SC. It is overclocked a little bit using MSI Afterburner. I don't think it really got that much of a clock. I don't really know what I'm doing, and just 2 standard sticks of DDR4, 8 gigabytes of RAM for 16 gigs total. Obviously, the cable management is not the most beautiful thing. Adding the RGB and the fans, I got a little bit lazy, so I think redoing the cable management would be a huge job, and I might do it one day, but I don't know. And for storage, I have one Seagate Barracuda with 2 terabytes. I use that for storage of pictures, videos, that kind of thing. Alright, promise you won't laugh. So here's what it looks like on the other side. I have my Silverstone little fan splitter, which allows me to run all of the fans that I have, all, what did I say? Yeah, 6. And back here is where I have my SSD, another Corsair little LED splitter deal, and just the rest of the cables that aren't allowed to be seen in public. So ultimately, it has been a ton of fun messing around with this kind of stuff. I like little hobbies like this, and trying to build a little machine and maximize its efficiency is always really fun. This was my attempt at a first PC build. It's been working well for a couple years now. I'm happy with the way it turns out and the way it is. I might be looking to upgrade in the future on the quest for ultimate power, of course. So if you see anything that's wrong or see something I can improve on, or if you have suggestions on how to get better performance out of this computer, let me know. Would it be worth it to upgrade my graphics card since I have a 1050? And I'm just wondering if that would be even worth it, or would I want to upgrade everything entirely? I'd say the biggest learning curve for me was learning how to deal with all of the drivers and the software issues. I didn't really have any issues with the hardware. Everything went together pretty well and performed well pretty much right off the bat. I didn't have any issues in that department. We were able to download Windows 10 and get it going pretty much immediately. I was actually really amazed. Buying the SSD was really wise because installing the operating system like that is way faster, and it boots faster and makes just the whole thing that much faster. But don't be like me and get a 256 gigabyte one. Just go ahead and get at least a terabyte. So anyway, this is my first PC build. It's been a lot of fun, and thanks for watching. If you enjoy, leave a like or comment and let me know what you think.